to the fight game with Icewater and Puma. He's Icewater, I'm Puma. And hey, like, comment, subscribe to our channel. We bring you football, all kinds of sports, and also we bring you the fight game. We're going to talk about the card last week, December 23rd, the heavyweights and the light heavyweight fight. And there were some surprises. But last week I said that I think one of the top two cards was going to lose. It was going to be an upset. And I thought it would be Anthony Joshua, but it turned out to be Deontay Wilder. And so I'm going to go to Icewater, man. Pick a fight. I don't know if you're going to pick the Bivol fight with London Arthur, which I saw that fight. And Bivol looked very strong, very determined. I think he won every round in that particular fight. Or Joseph Parker, who took a page from Tyson Fury's playbook to be a skinny leg Deontay Wilder, a kinder, gentler Deontay Wilder, if you will. And then Anthony Joshua, who just looked true to form against Wilder. So your choice, man.
Yeah, let's start with Dimitri Bivol over Lyndon Arthur. Bivol is a machine, and you think about it from the standpoint of he's kind of direct in his approach. He knows what he's going to do. He's a very smart fighter, great boxer as well, and he was just right on point. I think Lyndon Arthur's not a bad fighter. He's talented, but Bivol, when I watched Bivol in this fight, I started to really analyze and think about when he fought Canelo, right? And how he won that fight. I know now why he won that fight because he doesn't waste any time. He's kind of matter of fact. He comes directly right at you and he makes it happen. And this is what he did. I mean, as far as Arthur probably could have done more to get out of the way. He really didn't seem like he'd fight back a lot, but it was all about Bivol just going straight forward and saying, in my mind, I think I know I'm better than this guy. I had the talent, and I'm gonna do what I got to do to get this over with. And granted, it wasn't so much about him trying to go for a knockout, but he was about the business. You can just see the way that Bivol comes in. It's gonna be very difficult for anybody to beat him. Anybody, and that's Canelo and everybody else too, unless you have him drop down, and so Canelo can kind of get a little advantage because he's weight drained. But Bivol is one hell of a tough customer, and I like the way that he goes about his business. And I would love watching him fight, and I hope we get to see him against some better competition in the future.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of said everything I wanted to say about Bivol. You know, he stands on his business. No frills, no kind of fancy kind of things. He's going in there and he's going in there to fight and he's going in there to win. And you could just see London Arthur just trying not to get knocked out during the fight. Like, I don't want to get knocked out. I don't want to get hurt. And Bivol not rushing in, trying to get greedy and saying, hey, I just want to knock you out and win impressively. So I have to give it to the lightweight WBA champion. He came in, he's solid. And again, you said something that I wanted to say too, is that now I see how he beat Canelo because he was just there to fight. He's right there in front of you. No frills, just I'm just gonna outbeat you, outpunch you. I'm just gonna beat you to the punch. I'm gonna punish you, and if you fall, you fall. But every round, I'm taking every round. And I thought it was a masterful fight fought by him. Speaking of masterful fights, watching Joseph Parker in a fight against Deontay Wilder, I kind of felt that when Deontay Wilder came in at 213, that was too light for him. And then you start looking at him, the legs weren't there. I don't know whose legs he had, but the legs weren't there, man. I mean, there were just two sticks under there. And you could see that I could see kind of sprinklings of Tyson Fury avoiding the right, timing the right when Wilder was going to throw that right, and then coming over with an overhand right that stunned Wilder again and again. And when I was watching that fight, scoring that fight, Wilder did not win a round.
No doubt. I think part though the post conference, if you will, they won't call it press conference, but the post interview told me everything I needed to know because you started to say, well, Wilder wasn't on. It almost seemed like they were fighting a different style, different fight, trying to make you more of a boxer. And my question was, if you saw that his legs were not there and this wasn't working after round, maybe even far as round 6 in the corner, you had to say, hey, all right, now we got to just empty the chamber, right? We got to unload these bullets because right now we're so far behind. The only way we're going to come back unless we got to go back to what we do. So I know you've been training and doing your thing about trying to be a boxer, but right now we're running out of opportunity, and we just got to have you go for it. And I don't think they tried to do that until later in the fight when he was Wilder was kind of gassed.
Mm-hmm.
But it made a lot of sense because when you're watching Joseph Parker, people are always talking about, oh well, Wilder he just didn't fight well, or I don't know what's wrong with him. He looked bad, but again, the post interview told you when he says, "I want to thank Tyson Fury
Mm-hmm.
for training with me because the formula to defeating Wilder that was used by Fury early on is the same thing here from the standpoint of okay, stay close to him, grab him, stay away from that right hand, and in between, if he doesn't get any clean shots, hit him in between, which is what Joseph Parker was doing. It's the same exact formula that Tyson Fury used, who is Deontay Wilder's kryptonite. And when you heard that, you're going, oh damn. You're like, wow. So for those that want to just throw Tyson Fury as put him out there as some dumb lug, I think you're more and more finding out that his team and also him, he's a very smart fighter. You're beating one of the top punchers of all boxing history at his own game. That's what's telling you something. When you can tell someone else and train them to do that, that tells you how much Tyson Fury was on point on this game. So Joseph Parker bought into all that, and it's interesting from that standpoint. In fact, he's giving him half his purse because Tyson Fury helped him make his main champion. So, but the concept behind this and the way they went about their game plan, it just tells you a lot about the ins and outs of boxing. Again, even though Deontay Wilder, my biggest thing with him is I don't know if the passion's there anymore for him. Mm. I don't know what it is. I don't think he has a passion anymore. He's a nice guy. Deontay Wilder can be a mean guy. And when he thanked everybody and says he wanted to go home to his kids, and I was like, dude, give it up, bro. And for those that are mad, let me say this real quick, get out the way. For those that be mad at Deontay Wilder for not providing the performance, if that's it, that's okay with me. Because he's entertained us a lot and he's done well. And if he can walk away without really being physically hurt or mentally hurt, can walk away from the ring after what he's done, to me, he's a Hall of Fame boxer right now. Walk away, bro, and thank you. Thank you, because we get so caught up wanting to see what we want to see as paying customers or as fans that we miss what it's really all about. It's about that man going home and being okay afterwards. That's what he decides to do. And again, he might prove me wrong and say, I'm going to fight Anthony Johnson. The hell with you. You know what you're talking about.
And you ran right into my question. So what's the chances of them fighting now since this defeat?
Like I said, one thing they always say, I know it's a defeat. Anybody else, it'd be a wrap. But we know this. If it make dollars, it makes sense.
So they said it was a deal already set. And I don't know if it's set now. I don't know if they had a stipulation, but if you lose, then it all bets are off.
Well, they probably did. But if the fans want this fight.
Yeah.
And if Deontay Wilder can come out that fog, wherever the hell he was at on that retreat, and get mean again, take him away from his family, whatever they need to do to get him mean again, and take him off medication, whatever the hell's going on. If you get him fired up again, we got to fight because Anthony Joshua looks like he's ready to do something now. So maybe through osmosis or whatever, the backyard, whatever you want to call it, we may find the fight we're looking for with the temperament from both fighters that we've been aspiring to get as well. So from a backyard perspective, but I'll say this to answer your question. I think if Wilder says yes, they had a fight because it's still a good fight. It's a fight we want to see. How many people, real quick, they said it was too late, but people still wanted to see it. Pacquiao Mayweather.
Yeah, and to me, it's like I don't want to see them fight in 2025. They got to do it next year because after next year, it's like skills diminish, and it's going to look like Trinidad and my boy Roy Jones. That fight didn't look like, when they're at their prime, you knew what you're gonna see. If Pacquiao and Mayweather are at their prime, that's what I want to see. I don't want to see them on the back end of their careers trying to fight because it loses all its luster after that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I do think that it needs to happen in 24, 24. Even if it doesn't happen right away, I think in the fall would be great. And I think fans will come still see it because people still believe Deontay Wilder. Now that we know, it's almost like a one off, right? Chris Stevenson had a bad fight. Everybody was like, he didn't lose, but he didn't look as good, right? But
Right.
it's a one off, okay? So you think, all right, well, you lost to Parker, but we're not fighting Parker. We're not fighting that style anymore. We're going after Anthony Joshua, a guy you think you can knock the hell out of. And truth be told, I know he's a nicer, kind of gentler Wilder, but he was the one to knock the hell out of Anthony Joshua for years. I think that opportunity alone is gonna get him fired up and amped up to see the old, bomb squad one more time. Because
Even
this
that
is a
didn't
fight.
sound right this time. I'm like,
I know it did right, but this time, this is a fight he's been wanting to prove to the world. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, why not? Why not? We've seen a lot worse, man. I mean, I'm sorry he lost and Joseph Parker beat him, and but hell, a lot of people lost fights,
yeah.
right? How many undefeated fighters have lost? I mean, you think about it from that standpoint. So it's another loss. He lost to Fury, right? And now he lost to this guy. So that means he's not good enough to fight Andy Joshua now.
Like I said, I want to see it, but the chances are, I don't know. I don't know if they're delayed another year. So we segue right into the Anthony Joshua Otto Wallen fight. Joshua looked to me okay, but it seemed like, and I texted you during the fight, he's still having trouble fighting softball. And if he didn't catch Wallen in those earlier rounds, and Wallen got in trouble and then couldn't finish the fight. I think that Wallen had a puncher's chance, but it just seemed like Joshua just outskilled him, outboxed him, was able to kind of solve that softball style just enough to win this fight.
Yeah, Anthony Joshua, if nothing else, to me seems as if he had the will to fight, right? And what I mean by that, not saying he doesn't get in the ring, even when the other fights that he lost to Usyk, right? But it seems like he really had a purpose, and he was trying to show the skills, use the skill set that he had in order to dominate his opponent, and that's all we really wanted to see. And we haven't really seen that in a while. And it seemed like he was on point. Seemed like he was in good space, good place mentally, mentally and physically. And he went in there and he handled the business. That's the man we want to see. That's the guy we're looking for. So, granted, it wasn't perfect, but it's probably the best ever. We've probably seen him in the last 3 years, maybe, if not more. We look at the other fights with other guys that he's lost to, but it's probably the best effort I've seen in a while,
Yeah.
and that gives us hope that if he does continue on, which he will, to fight other people, that it's going to be okay. Which is why we want to say we would love to see him. Who knows? Maybe the Joshua versus we want to see Joshua versus Wilder, but if not, hell, Joshua versus the winner of Usyk and Fury.
I think this might be a confidence builder for him because he was able to beat a southpaw, which Usyk is a southpaw, and he couldn't do anything with that. And so maybe this was like, I need to fight more guys like that to fight this style. So when I do get a chance to fight this guy again, meaning Usyk, then maybe I'll have more fights under my belt where I have more experience fighting southpaw. But early in those rounds, I'm like, oh man, this is here it comes again. And then he started, using the right footwork and angling himself, better against the southpaw so that he wouldn't get touched by the southpaw's left hand or fall in those traps that southpaws kind of lead you in from an orthodox fighter. Any other fights you want to talk about, or any other boxing news that you want to talk about in the fight game?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Uh,
I'm trying not to laugh.
Man, look, I'm
Oh,
gonna just say this, and I need to do more research on it too. But from what I understand, it's been a very big topic of discussion about recently with the issue with Jamel Charlo and his out of the ring issues and things of that nature. And first thing we heard, according to sources, is that he allegedly was uh, putting his hands on manhandling or doing something costing a family member or a family member, friend of the family, right? And we heard that it was a female. Now, and everybody's like, oh, he needs to be removed from boxing. His career is over and all this and that. And I'm not advocating any violence or whatever. What I am advocating for this, that we as the media, or particularly those that are on these type of things, that we get the whole story first before we just start making assumptions, right? Because now we're hearing the other part of it, that there's a possibility that the person that's supposed to be a female was actually a transgender male that he got into whether a ruckus with or whatever. And to me, violence is violence. But I think when you say one thing about uh, a scuffle with a woman or something, and you say a scuffle with a transgender man, I know y'all about to kill me with this and get me in trouble, but it is what it is. It's different between him connecting or facing off against a man versus what he would be doing to a woman. That's just my opinion. You might see it differently, and that's okay. But I'm just saying. But to say it's all over, the main thing is let's get the story straight. I'm not sure what happened. We're going to find out more, but I just find it ironic that we were putting the nail in his boxing career coffin, putting him in the coffin without really finding out all of the information. And now we're receiving other information that maybe alter what is going on and whether or not he can move forward with his career.
my question with the Charlo brothers is like, how are you two living? How are you two living? And why are you two constantly putting yourselves in positions where you're getting in trouble, or there's more news outside the ring than inside the ring? And so it's like sometimes you just can't hang around the people you grew up with or the neighborhood you grew up in if it's going to take you away from making big time money or take you away from getting in the gym and being as great as you two think you are. So you got to start questioning yourself, how am I living? And how am I preserving my legacy in boxing if you want to do that? Because it just seems like we have more stories about them outside the ring than inside the ring. And then sometimes the inside the ring is not as impressive or not even noteworthy. Maybe because you're taking too much time not training. The Canelo fight really kind of really just rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, how can you not prepare for the biggest fight of your life and come out with a performance like that? So, Charlo brothers, how are you living? How are you living? Don't let these distractions get in the way of you two trying to be as great as you want to be, is what I'm saying. Gosh.
Yeah, yeah. One other thing I want to throw out there is talk about Devin Haney. And we know Devin Haney is on top of the world right now for what he did with pro race and whatnot. But the one thing I said before is I guess he was over at in Dubai or wherever at the fights with the heavyweights and whatnot too. And people saw him. He was talking about different things, what was going on, and they're trying to find out what his next fights may be. And I told you before about his physique. They're saying he walking around looking like he's walking around at 170, 170 easy right now. And I'm not here to put on how he got there or whatever, but they've been spinning that word, that name that people make people nervous. Conti, yeah, Mr. Conti, and we know about the history of that, but that's speculation. I'm not even going to that. But what I want to say though is this: it's amazing that now they're saying him because he's at that weight, walking easily at 170, he could possibly be easy having a fight at moving up to 147, right? And then that word that man's name came out, Terrence Crawford, and there was a lot of people talking about, hey, yeah, you want to see Terrence Crawford and whether or not he's going to be biting off Devin Haney be biting off more than he can chew, trying to say for Terrence Crawford. But now we're hearing a little pushback, a little backing up, where I guess that Mr. Haney, Daddy Haney, is saying, now we're not even looking at Terrence Crawford. He's saying we're more or less focused on fighting Garcia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or fighting Tank Davis. And the thing was, they said, why is Tank Davis afraid to fight Devin Haney? But it's like, if you're walking around at 170 and I'm at 140, and you want me to get to 147, even 147 to 170 is a lot different. Or even at 140, that's 30 pounds. So you want me to come in, because I think they said that the last fight against Prograis, after they met in the weight of 140, uh, Haney rehydrated to like 165.
Wow.
So, he's just a bigger dude now. He walk around like that too. So it's interesting to see how this comes out. But I saw Dad pull back real quick. I mean, you watch that night when you start saying Terrence Crawford, better be ready. And I know that Devin Haney, I don't know if he's joking around, kind of trying to step up to Terrence Crawford before, but after you saw what he did, perhaps to Errol Spence Jr., Dad's like, you might calm your horses, because the thing is, get off this very quickly. When you make that jump to 147 and beyond, ain't no going back.
No, you can't go.
Not room, like you said, now I'm going back down to 135 because you committed to it. So you either gonna wait for that man to move on by this business. You go out there parking around at 147, you might find what you're looking for.
Yeah. He's Icewater, I'm Puma, and this is a fight game.